Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I found the lost footage from plant number 16. Woohoo! Watch for that in an upcoming video. But for now, let's get on with the show. All right, plant number 17. Or should I say 17s, because it's actually two plants. They lied. Anyway, this is what I needed. I'm not even sure what to call those. What are they called in the book? Let me see. Stamens. I should have known that. Okay, who else sees a face just now? With the two pots being the eyes, the stamens kind of making up the nose and the mouth. Just me? Alrighty then. I gathered up the stamens and tried to twist them together and fold them in half so that they'd all gather together. And my idea was to put them in the pot like that and then hot glue them so that they wouldn't budge. This was easier said than done. I had a bit of trouble getting them in there, but we persevered and we finally got them in. I'm not sure what I was trying to do here, as if I was going to be able to arrange them. Time to start over. I twisted them a bit tighter this time, folded them up, and I tried to get a better grip on them. They're slippery little suckers though. I tried using the same technique of twisting the threads together. I shoved them in there, and this time I got a better grip on the bottom. And the idea was to put the glue first so that they wouldn't budge, and later on come and cut them with the scissors. Ooh, yeah, that hurt. It never fails. I have to burn myself at least once per video. All right, we've got them glued in there, and now it's time to leave it alone because I don't want to get burned again. In the meantime, I tried doing the same thing with the other tiny little pot. Let's speed things up, shall we? Yay, I didn't burn myself this time. Now it's time to cut the threads off of the bottom of the pot. I just used my little scissors for this. It didn't really make for a super smooth bottom, so I'm going to have to probably use a glue dot or something to keep them up once I place them for good. But the scissors still did the trick. How cute is that? On to the next one. It's even more finicky because it's smaller. Whoopsie. That's gotta happen once per video too. On to the next plant. This is plant number 18. It's nothing exciting. It's a painted pot and some coral grass. That's it. Here's the pot it says to use. And through the magic of television, ta-da! It's painted. I guess I forgot to film that part. Anyway, this is the moss. It's a pretty big chunk, a lot more than what I need. So I tried cutting off a little piece. It's kind of hard to tell where to cut it, but I just kind of went with my gut feeling. And we got a little chunk there. There's kind of a stem if you pretend hard enough. So I tried to make my pretend stem go into the pot. This was pretty finicky. It took me a while to get right. Took a little bit of patience. I didn't want to burn my fingers again, so I used my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. I really like the small tip. It makes a lot of jobs much easier. So I'm trying to shove that stem in there. It's not going so well. I eventually use my tweezers, I believe. So I'm going to spare you watching this atrocity, and I'll show you what it looks like. Ta-da! It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. On to plant number 19. This plant was a little more involved. It had many more steps. The first step was to cut out the colored rectangles, and I sped this up because I spent a lot of time trying to be perfect and taking away all the little tiny black lines. That's really not going to matter in the end. And the funny part is that I'm such a perfectionist, but nothing is perfect about me, as you may have noticed. Anyway, so then I had to cut little strips in each rectangle, and from the strips cut little tiny squares. I'm going to speed it up because we don't need to see every single little movement that I make. Then I took out my ruler to try and measure out the length of the stems, but first I had to try and get the wire straight. If anyone knows a better trick, please tell me in the comments. I always have trouble with this. I always try to bend it the right way, but it's never really very effective. So I'm all ears. Okay, that's as good as she's going to get. So I measured out a total of 9 centimeters, which I cut, and then I had to bend down a little loop. I'm not sure what the measurements are on that. I believe they say 10 millimeters, and I tried to pinch it down as much as I could, and that's what the final product ended up looking like. So then I slathered it with glue. Oh, little blockage there. Boop. Okay, now I'm slathering it with glue. And I was pretty generous with the glue because I need to pick up those little tiny squares. So here's attempt number 1. It pretty much worked. There's probably a better technique I could have used, but I was using what I had on hand. Aw, see how cute is that? Here I'm trying to square it up with my tweezers, like that was going to make a difference. Then I used my paintbrush as a little broom, and that worked really well, so that I could regroup the pieces of paper together. Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together. Okay, I'm not going to do that to you. So it looks like it's time to speed things up again before this singing gets out of hand. Alrighty, we're back to everybody's favorite part. Will she burn herself again? Here we go with the glue gun. The mat I have underneath the bead is a silicone mat, and that lets me make the glue flat and not stick to the table. And I shoved the little plants in, and it's looking cute already. And I didn't even burn my fingers, so there. I just held it in place for a little while. And look at that, how cute. I like the colors on this one. Moving on to plant 20. Plant 20 was actually pretty easy to make and fun. It took a little while, but it wasn't too involved. And I had the right tools to help me out with the job that I'll show you in just a second. But first I had to cut my strip in many little tiny strips to make each leaf. I then proceeded to cut the tips so that they would kind of taper off and not just be a bunch of rectangles. And there we have it, my quilling tool, a remnant of hobbies past, but perfect for the job at hand today. I shoved the paper in the tip and I used it to roll my plant up. Then I used my precision tip glue to get the glue exactly where I needed it and proceeded to put it all over my fingers anyway. Then I pulled the plant off of the quilling tool and proceeded to play a game of Will She Burn Her Fingers? I know you all love this game. I only do half the time. So I started with the glue this time, filled the whole pot, almost to the edge, or maybe halfway, and I stuck my little roll in there, tried to center it in the middle, so it wouldn't be leaning too far to one side. Then I waited for it to cool down. Once it was cool, I used not my quilling tool, but I used my dotting tool to kind of curl the leaves downwards. This took a little while. It was harder to do when my dotting tool was full of glue, so I had to get that gunk off first. And then I was able to curl each individual leaf. So you guessed it, time to speed things up. And here's what it looks like. I think this one's my favorite from the whole bunch. Anyway, thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Please consider subscribing, but only if you like my content. Otherwise, you'll screw up my algorithm. Take care, and remember, big dreams come in small packages.